Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy, it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you as well. How are you doing today, Bob?
I'm good. How are you?
I cannot complain. I'm doing very well, thanks.
Good. You got the blue shirt memo? Good.
I got the blue shirt memo, yes. Yes,
good.
I did.
Good.
So
always good that we get that memo. You know, that's the most important thing I check on each morning.
Okay. Good to know. Now I will add that to my list of things to make sure that I get out in time so that you can adjust to whatever's in the memo.
There you have it. Hey, let's get into it because we got a great topic today. I'm excited.
We do have a great topic, and welcome everyone to today's Antidote. This week, actually, we've been talking about it's go time. And today,
Can't we jazz that up, Tom? It's go time.
That's kind of your role, I feel. I'm sort of the straight shooter, and you're the animated.
Okay. I just feel like it's got to have more pep. It's go time. Come on, people.
Okay. All right. Maybe I should have you do that then, because that's not necessarily my strong suit, I don't think.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind.
I'm kind of the even keel, keep things in perspective.
Hey, just let me know when it's go time.
I will definitely let you know when it is go time. So that's our topic this week. And, you know, we talked Monday about taking action. And yesterday we talked about, heavens, what did we talk about yesterday? Wow.
Giving it time?
Giving it time. Absolutely.
Ooh, look at that. You say I don't pay attention.
I know. How about that? And today we are going to talk about taking every step. And we will get to that in a moment. Before we get there, though, we're going to start like we do every day with our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate a good movie. Last night, I watched a movie. I won't tell you what movie it was because it would qualify as a guilty pleasure. If you watched MTV last night at 8 p.m., you'll know what movie I watched. And it was just calming to me.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. All right.
Yeah. Actually, it's closer to 9 o'clock, I guess, because you and I were talking at 8 o'clock. Now that I think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
How about you?
I am celebrating. I had a couple of things I was going to celebrate. You know, one was, can I do two, or is that?
Sure. Hey, it's your program. Go for it.
Well, it's our program.
As long as you get to, it's go time. I don't care what you do.
Fair enough. So I'm going to celebrate that. Last night we put together we have this workshop that we've been working on. And last night we had one of our sessions of the workshop. And we had a couple of people who were signed up. And unfortunately, they didn't show. You know, that sometimes happens. You can send them reminders, you can give them all the information, and sometimes they choose not to show up. And I think you and I could have led down a very slippery slope of, okay, what's wrong? And I think instead we spent a lot of time talking about other things that will help us move forward. In addition to selecting two other dates that, you know, maybe the first Tuesday of the year at night wasn't necessarily the best time. And so that's okay. We evaluated that and we've selected two other dates, and people may or may not show up. We can't control that. We can put the information out. And I just am celebrating the fact that we didn't allow that, at least in the moment, to take us down the path of nobody's paying attention, nobody cares.
Are you saying we or me?
No, I'm saying
meaning me, because I'm usually the one that goes down that path.
Well, that doesn't mean that I don't occasionally start to wonder, like, what happened there? And I'm, starting to wonder, and I'll think, I think it's interesting. We put it up on LinkedIn events, and people sign up. And I just wonder if there's not the commitment there. Because I've seen times when people choose to sign up and then don't show up. So, I think that's something to explore and consider whether there is value in putting those up as events if people kind of don't really hold a lot of commitment to that. So,
Right. Well, it's easy. All you have to do is click going.
correct.
It's not like you have to remember in the old days where you had to call with your RSVP and you call, the bridesmaid's mother or, your Aunt Matilda who was planning the surprise party, and you had to get on the phone to say you were coming.
Right.
That was harder. You had to get the phone number. You had to dial. We don't go through that responsibility now. It's you click a button and you could sign up for everything this week, Tom. I bet you get 100 things this week, and then you could pick and choose which ones matter. Absolutely. Or don't matter or fit your schedule, or it's also on a whim, right? I mean, I've done this. I'm guilty of this as well. I've signed up for things and not participated.
Yeah, it happens. And I think, again, we can't always control that. Those people who signed up might have had a legitimate issue come up. I had one person actually message me this morning that was like, they got their schedule mixed up and they couldn't attend, and they're going to try to attend. And I shared the other dates, and they're going to try to attend one of the other ones. And so I think
apparently those people didn't realize it was go time.
Well, for them, it wasn't. It was go time on something else. And I know. We'll see how many times you can get that in. If anybody wants to count and track, that might keep you entertained for at least part of this episode. So I'm going to only go with that one because that was a little longer conversation than I thought I was going to have around it. And I just feel like hopefully we're getting more and more to a place where we want to share our value. And it may not be the right time for someone else to say, hey, I want to take advantage of that or leverage that or hear it.
Yep.
And that's okay. We can't control that. All we can do is say, this is what we think, this is the value we want to share. And others can choose whether or not they want to show up, listen to it, leverage it. We can't control that. So that's my celebration.
Nice. Thanks. I like that. And I talked about the value of a movie. It is National Screenwriters Day.
Screenwriters Day.
Screenwriters Day. So these are the people that toil away creating characters, creating plot lines, creating long, intricate stories, and most of them never see the light of day. I know people who have written 5, 6, 7 screenplays, and they've had 2 or 3 optioned, and then it never happens because the star that they wanted to do it couldn't do it, or because the director couldn't do it, or they couldn't get funding, or there were too many movies in that genre. It's a tough, tough, tough world. When you see a movie get produced and actually on a screen somewhere, it's like a 1 in a million. It's like a best-selling novel.
I would imagine that's changed a little bit because there are many more platforms, many more people who are looking for content.
But many more people writing because of that.
No doubt. I think that there is, it's an interesting world how back when you and I grew up, there were only so many movie theaters.
Right.
They could only show so many movies. And
3 or 4 TV networks.
Correct.
Period.
Right. Even PBS
wasn't showing content.
No. And so I think that now you look at how many, and many of those stations weren't 24 hours.
Right.
At midnight, they shut down.
Played the Star Spangled Banner and went to snow.
Correct. Now you have 24/7. You have it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Hulu, Sling, Netflix, and all those options, plus HBO Plus and AMC Plus and PBS Plus. And
now you can put it on Instagram. You can put it on Twitter. You can put it on Facebook. All of those things that the places for those. Now, they're not going to necessarily get the same attention. They're not going to have the same impact. And yet, I wonder if those screenwriters are taking every step or they're stopping short because they feel like the only place for it is on TV or on the big screen, and that's where it has to be.
So you say they're struggling at times with go time.
I think they're struggling at times to complete the plan that they set out. Okay. And I think as I think about this topic, that's That's the piece, is that there may be there are steps that we set up. And so often I think people stop short of taking all the steps that they plan to take.
What happens if you find information right off the bat? You're going down a pathway doing something, and then you find information that, hey, this isn't going to work because we had an event this evening and it's going to snow.
Okay.
We had an event this evening. It just so happens that this is PTA night. Those types of things that you didn't know in advance. Are you suggesting that we have to follow the steps, even if new information comes to us that would change the steps we take if we had gone back?
Well, I would think that we may skip some.
Okay.
And go to what's next. So even if you said, okay, we're going to have an event tonight, and there are competing or conflicting interests, opportunities, and people choose those, or we decide it doesn't make sense to run it. What we have lost is the opportunity to learn from that, even if what we learn isn't as helpful as we thought. We hopefully had next steps, like how are we going to follow up with those people who attend? And maybe that step shifts to how do we follow up with those people who didn't show up? And how do we try to learn from and gain from those things? So I think so often things like that derail people. And then they don't follow through with the things that they were planning to do. It's like us last night. We could have easily at 7:01 just be like, nobody's here, we're going to shut down. So we took the time and use that time to come up with the next steps. And I think so often, and I think that's, I guess, what I was sharing was the opportunity to make sure we go as far as we had planned out so that we truly can step back and say, okay, what happened? And I also think that there are times when there are additional steps that we didn't consider that we could take. And maybe that means we needed to do a little more planning, or we just needed to be willing to say, okay, we've completed the steps that we knew. Are there other steps that others have taken that we didn't consider or aren't yet willing to take?
Right. Well, and if you think about the process, it's a lot like doing a scientific experiment. You have a hypothesis. I think if I do these things, this will happen. I follow steps and I see what the results are. And what I love about scientific research is they publish the results, whether they're good or bad, because they know that helps people figure out other things. You did this work. This is the result you got. Someone else might go, oh, wow. If I do that causes me to get here. The next step would be there.
Sure.
And I like that idea of just acknowledging what works and what doesn't work and not being so tied to the result and so frustrated when it doesn't work. And for a book I wrote, we did some scientific research. And along the way, there were a couple times where it's like, oh, this isn't what we expected. But we had to see it through. And we had to track our steps because it was going to be reviewed by someone. And they were going to go behind us and make sure we did all the things correctly. And that level of specificity, this is what we did, here are the steps. Anyone can go do those same steps. You should get the same result. If you get a different result, that's of concern. And I think that process has taken us really far in science. I don't know that we do that in business. I don't think that we do the level of evaluation that scientists do. I don't think we do it so analytically. It's numbers and it's not, well, I kind of thought this maybe. It's like, okay, you put 20 drops of this and 30 drops of that. You put 50 drops in the beaker and now it's exploded.
Sure. I think the challenge and maybe the difference with that is that in science, someone has figured out what you can repeat those exact steps and you will get the exact same results. I'm not sure.
Not always.
No, although the percentage is a lot higher, likely. You can go out and make 20 calls to people you're connected to. I can go out and make 20 calls. We can even have almost the exact same script. and the likelihood of getting the same results is pretty small. So I think that there's that's the maybe difference between scientific research and business research. Not that I think it is a great thing to consider, is that this is what they do in science, and then they just keep going based on the results. They keep going till they figure it out, which I think is something in business I don't think we always do. It's interesting. I was thinking about this as this topic came up. We purchased a program so that we could launch an app, and it's supposed to take 30 days is what the course is set up for, 30 days. And ours didn't take 30 days. And it could have been I think there were points along the way we could have stopped.
Yes.
Very easily. We got distracted. The other things came up. We weren't seeing the progress we thought we were. We didn't see the results we were maybe expecting. And it could have been very easy to shelve that and not move forward. And we persevered through it, and we have it. And now we have to figure out what's the next step for that. And I think that part of that, there was part of
that marketing plan I'm supposed to be putting together.
I didn't say that.
I heard it.
You didn't have to share that.
I forget that it's almost go time on the app.
It's getting closer. We're going to have a launch. That's a nice little tease for everyone, that we are going to sort of officially launch our native app that we have. But that's another story. Well, that's, I guess, part of the story. And there's a community of people who are trying to do the same thing. They are trying to build their own app. And there is clearly a point where people get stuck or never get started. And, it's unfortunate, because I'm sure that they had a concept and an idea. And yet, so far, they have not been willing to take every step to get to that point where they could say, hey, this is done, that I'm going to trust there is value in these steps. Now, some people may believe there's no longer any value, and so they bail out. Okay. And I think the fact that people have gone through it, even us, and now have a live app, says that the steps can work. They might not work in 30 days. They might not even work in 60 days. And they can help you get to where you want to be. And I think so often that's some of the challenges that I'm sure people inside our Ring of Renegades deal with, is they are seeing results, or they get scared or afraid of hard things.
Or someone tells them that it's not going to work.
Somebody tells them it's not going to work.
I am amazed at how much negative feedback we receive in the course of a day. I've been keeping pretty close track of it in the last couple of months. And it's like, man, that is a lot of noise there. And I think I'm someone who hears that noise a lot.
You mean like the person who commented in our Facebook group that I should be fired and you liked it? Just saying. That didn't pass me by. I was like, oh. So it sounds like maybe there's been a discussion about this. I don't know what's coming.
Didn't see that one coming.
Nope.
So now apparently it's go time for Tom.
I guess, because I'm got to carry my weight. I must be slacking off. So I think that's a piece of it, is like, how do we commit? And I think, I have seen it myself. One of the first courses I signed up for, I got to about step 6 of 8. And I'm really wishing, and I keep telling myself to go back and do those 2 extra steps, because I think they were key. I sort of said, well, it's about follow-up and it's about testimonials. And I know those are 2 of the things that I am not really strong at, is sort of how to close a client and then get them to consider writing a testimonial. And I know how valuable that can be. And yet, for some reason or another, I haven't done as well incorporating that into my process as I could.
Tom, you helped me through this about 8 or 9 months ago. Someone that I was going to do some business with asked me if I was all in. And we had to define what all in was. And you facilitated a discussion between the two of us trying to figure out what all in was. And that really struck me because since that time, there have been highs, there have been lows, there have been everything in between. But I remember really thinking about that phrase all in and saying, I remember committing to this person and saying, yeah, I'm all in. And I thought about all the implications. I knew what they were. Some of them have come true more recently, and I could predicted them. But that all in idea that you're going to figure it out. And I think sometimes we're not all in. We're kind of half in, or I'm in unless someone tells me something different, or I might maybe kind of, if nothing else comes up, I'll do this for a while. And I think the people that ultimately figure things out are the ones who are all in. Wasn't it the Vikings, I think, that burned the ships behind them?
Yes.
So that they couldn't go back across the water. So now, hey, guess what, guys? It's here or you die. You're not swimming back. And I think that idea is something that when I was all in at first, that really scared me. It was like, boy, what if I can't do this? What if this doesn't go the way it's supposed to? What if I miscalculate it? But over time, it became like, you know what? There were times where I'd say to myself, you know what? If I'm all in, this is what I've got to do. And I think there's a difference there.
Well, I think part of it is you defined what all in meant. And I think that's a part of this with it's go time. It's go time.
I knew I could get you to do it sooner or later.
Is knowing what are all the steps we are committed to taking as a part of launching, going, moving forward with whatever it is we're doing, a meeting we have with our team, a hard conversation, a new product line, marketing an event or a program. And
ending something that's been in place for years.
Sure. Absolutely.
Letting go of an employee that's been with you for years. Those are some of the things I think that when it's go time, that's where it gets complicated for people.
Because it becomes hard.
Yes.
And I think and they start to waver on being, as you say, all in on every step that they initially committed to.
And it becomes emotional.
Sure.
Tabitha's worked for our company for the last 45 years. She's been a really good employee. She's just not cutting it anymore. We really need to make a change. That's hard. That's hard for the person. That's hard for the organization. And I think that sometimes gets in our way of seeing through the steps, because if you were to look at that and go, well, you know what? Tabitha's not carrying her weight. We keep seeing these problems crop up. It's always Tabitha's issues that are really slowing us down. But that's still an emotional decision.
Well, I guess the other question, I think sometimes, so often in those, not so often, but occasionally in those situations, have we really taken every step?
Right.
Or have we really sat down with Tabitha and said, here's what we're seeing. What are you seeing? And here's what the challenges that are facing us is it appears that you are not carrying your weight. She might not even be aware that that's something. I think that's one of the interesting things about decisions we make, especially personnel decisions, is have we considered all the perspectives of why they may not be at a point that we thought? Were we clear on the expectations? Were the expectations realistic? Have we set them up for success or set them up for failure? And I think so often the reason that those get hard, one is it's emotional and it's personal, especially if they've been with the organization a long time. And two is that there's probably something in the back of our minds saying that maybe we haven't taken every step we could have taken to help this person get in a position where they were meeting the expectations that we have. And if I would think that if you felt like you've done all those things, it's easier to say, this is just not working out.
Right.
We've tried this, we've tried this, we've tried this, all these steps that we've taken. And then you get to the point like, okay, it's not us, something we haven't done. It's just either something that they aren't capable or willing to do. to move forward. And I think that's being all in. Have we
Right.
truly considered all the things that we could do? And we take the time, effort, and energy, hopefully, to get ready, be
Go!
set, and then hit.
Go time!
Yet then, why do we stop? Why do we let things stop us from taking every step we could take to accomplish
Mostly
it?
fear.
Sure. Fear or outside influence, as I
Right.
think you said, which I think is a significant thing. We talked about it a while ago about fear of success, about what would happen if it actually worked, and what am I going to deal with if that is the case? And it's unfortunate being in this community and listening to these people who are trying to build these apps struggle and hit a point where they're like, it's just not working. Nobody responded to my marketing. Okay, well, join the crowd. Sometimes that happens.
Right.
What can you can give up, absolutely, or you can figure out what are the next steps to take to see if you can find new solutions.
So what's your one thing today, Tom?
My one thing is going to be, if it is truly go time,
Go time!
it's not just about the first step, although that is critical and important. It is about taking every step that you set
Okay.
out so that you can truly understand, even if you have to cancel an event. Now, you could say have the event, and even if 10 people show up and you feel like that is not what you were expecting, there are things you could learn why those people showed up. And sometimes you don't, you choose to cancel it. Then what are the steps that you were going to do anyways? Figure out how you do them or you modify them so that you keep moving forward to try to better understand the situation.
So you're suggesting that we canceled our, what was it, clarity over coffee thing 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, too soon?
No, I think that's what we felt was real at the moment.
Okay.
And I think that it turned into clarity over 400 and currently 86 conversations. Because I think our goal at that, this was a workshop Bob and I were putting together in November of 2019. And I would say that we weren't all in and didn't take every step. So that was a learning effort.
Yes.
And yet I think there was something in that when March of 2020 showed up, we were looking for clarity again. And so we decided to talk, not really over coffee, but every morning about how do we find more clarity in the situation, which leads to how do we find more clarity in our everyday efforts.
And I think if you think through that, the goal was always the same.
Correct.
How can we take the knowledge you and I have and put it in a way that people can actually benefit from it? I think that was at its core what we both wanted to do. Plus, we wanted to do something together because we knew it would be fun.
Sure.
So, well, my one thing today, Tom, is that the hardest steps may be the most important steps to take in that sequence.
Okay.
That often when we get stuck or when we start to doubt ourselves, it's the step that we doubt doing it that actually gives us the most clarity around what we're trying to accomplish. Even if it goes horribly wrong, you still have the data point that you might not have had otherwise, because I've done many things where it's like, I should have just done one more thing. If I'd done this, and it's because I stopped along the way instead of seeing it all the way through.
Well, and I think that's probably the challenge with any time we start and launch it's go time.
Right.
We don't always, we do the easy thing. Sometimes the first steps are the easy. Which is a great way to build momentum, get some things done and celebrate them. And yet, like with this building the app, it's really about like, where do you see yourself when this is complete, and who are the people you're trying to help? And those are all things that in some regards are easy. We know what that is. When it gets down to, okay, now I have to be clear about what is my course or challenge going to look like, and how am I going to put it out in the world, is when people start to really question, can they really do this? Is it going to work? And I think they make decisions that hasn't allowed them to take every step to see where it actually might end. And so in some regards, I'm proud of us for doing that. And we got to a place where now we have something else that we can offer people as a way to connect, engage, and expand what's real for them.
Nice. Tom, it's go time for us. We need to get out of here. We need to do that closing you do so well.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for today's edition. If you have some thoughts around it's go time and taking every step, we'd love to see them in the comments. If you are watching this on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Bob's asleep at the wheel. LinkedIn Live.
Sorry. LinkedIn Live. I was responding to a message from someone.
It's not good when I have to do some of those animation things. It's just not, doesn't have the same impact. So you can please feel free to put it in the comment, because we know that whether it's just a comment or it's your one thing, that it will add value to someone else. If you are listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast channel, feel free to come to the Ring of Renegades and share your thoughts there. It's easy to do. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and then ask to join. Tell us why you're a renegade, and you can become a part of our growing community where we are helping people take their next step and continue taking those steps until they complete whatever it is they were trying to accomplish along their own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Remember, folks, every day is go time, and embrace the renegading you.
Should we work on a screenplay?
I might be doing that in my spare time. You never know.
Don't share that with the person who you told you were all in with. They may not find the same value in that. Just have a great day, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.